On a quiet morning in 2023, a man walked into a small-town police station, sat down at the front desk, and calmly said, "I'm here to confess to a murder I committed 30 years ago." The story begins in a small town where the man, once a respected member of the community, was accused of a crime that shocked everyone. It wasn't just any crime, it was a brutal act that tore a family apart and left the entire neighborhood in fear. The evidence was damning, and the police launched a manhunt that stretched for miles and years, but he vanished without a trace. For years, rumors swirled. Some said he died in an accident, others believed he had fled the country, but none of these theories were true. He was alive, hiding in plain sight under a new identity, blending into a different life entirely. In those decades, the man changed his appearance, his habits, even his name. He moved from town to town, working odd jobs, never staying in one place too long. But inside, the weight of his past hung heavy. Every day was a constant battle between the freedom of anonymity and the crushing guilt that followed him. His family moved on, but the memories of that night never faded. Victims' relatives demanded justice, and the cold case file gathered dust on a forgotten shelf. Yet for the man himself, those years in hiding were a slow punishment, worse than any prison sentence. Then, something changed. One quiet morning, the man walked into a police station. Not with a lawyer, not with a plan to escape, but with the intention to confess. No one saw it coming. What could have driven him to end his decades of freedom and secrecy? Was it guilt? A growing desire to face the consequences? Or something else entirely? Some say he was gravely ill, and the fear of dying alone pushed him to seek redemption.
Others believe a recent tragedy reminded him of his past and made him want to make things right.
Whatever the reason, his confession reopened wounds that many thought had healed, forcing the community to confront the painful truth all over again. During his confession, he spoke calmly, detailing the events leading up to the crime, the moments that changed his life forever, and why he fled instead of facing justice. His words painted a picture of a man broken by his own mistakes, haunted by the ghosts of the past. Police were stunned. Here was a man who had outsmarted the law for 30 years, but had chosen to return, not as a fugitive, but as a penitent. His return sparked a media frenzy. Journalists flocked to the town, eager to unravel the story behind the man who vanished and then voluntarily walked into captivity. Some sympathized with his plight, others condemned his past. But few could deny the mystery that surrounded his decision. Should he be forgiven? In court, the man faced the consequences of his actions. The legal battle was complex. How does a justice system deal with a confession so delayed? Were the victim's families satisfied with this sudden closure, or did it reopen old wounds? Some experts argued that justice delayed is justice denied. 30 years had passed, memories faded, witnesses moved away, evidence deteriorated. Yet the law demanded accountability, no matter how much time had gone by. The man's sentence was harsh, but just. But beyond the courtrooms and legal debates, the real question lingered. Why now? Why, after all this time, choose to come clean? Psychologists who studied the case suggested that living with a secret this heavy could be unbearable. The burden of guilt can twist the mind, leading some to seek forgiveness, even if it means giving up everything. Others pointed to a deep human need for closure, not just for the victims, but for the offender as well. To live in the shadows is to live without peace, and for some, confession is the only way to reclaim a shred of humanity. As the man serves his sentence, the story remains a cautionary tale of crime, punishment, and the complex layers of human conscience. It challenges us to think about justice not just as a legal concept, but as something deeply personal and emotional. Would you have done the same if you were in his shoes? Could you live with such a secret for decades? And what does true justice really mean after 30 years? These questions remain unanswered, but the man's confession reminds us that sometimes the hardest battles are the ones fought within.